Tugwell told them when they came in here, and this thing had gotten a late start. A lot of them had been finished for 3 years. And he came and got the job, and he said, I got trouble down there at that slag heap joint. I got to, come on, let's go down there and check this out. Said, they're running way behind. So he came over and looked around and said, hey, he said, I like what I see here, change it around. These aren't going to be little farmettes. They're going to be a different type of community. And I want, what the quote was that I want the best, I want these things built with the best material available with no economy of labor. Now that's pretty strong when you're talking about construction.
So there are a lot of the original details throughout the house, and things like glass doorknobs or the vents, decorative vents above the doors in the bedrooms. There are some cabinets that have been there. I don't know if they're original to the house, but in the bathrooms that are certainly older, that I think just give it a little bit of charm. The original back door is within our house leading to the laundry room, and so I like having that there.
Not much had been done to this house. We have given some thought as to what we want to do about adding on, or how do we live in it as it is. Well, we've been here 4 years, 4.5 years, and we haven't decided to add on yet, even though we're aware there's some renderings from the original blueprints that, you know, the people who designed the neighborhood in the 1930s, you know, said, okay, at some point you may want to add on. And so they have provisions for that. That's there. We've also had an architect give us 2 renderings of what we might want to do with the house, and all of it's going towards the back. But we keep finding little nooks in the house that we can utilize the space a little bit better. So we haven't added on yet, but we've been working on the inside, utilizing what's there. And so we've enjoyed doing that. At some point we may add on, but you know, we're still discovering.
Along with wallpaper that we've discovered, you know, repainting some rooms, discovering those little things from, you know, when the house was built, the original, what it looked like, you know. It's just been a neat, I'm a historical kind of guy, so every little thing, you know, as far as the construction of the house, and you think about all the craftsmen that worked on it, you know, what was their history, you know, they're not around to talk about it anymore, so we can just guess what was going through somebody's mind as they were putting on the shingles or they were framing this in, you know, what did they have going on in their life. So it's kind of neat to think about that kind of stuff too.
Well, basically we've kept everything original. There have been updates. Dining room was added on, a large laundry room was added on. My husband and I recently built a new garage, but we built it, you know, period specific to these houses. We're about to start on a major renovation, and we're trying to keep everything as period specific as possible. We're going to reuse everything we can. This house has the original maple countertops, so we will be incorporating those into the kitchen and just trying to keep it as historically accurate as possible.
When I bought the house, I immediately started adding on to the house because they're small, but the front of the house I kept the same, the living room, the front bedroom, and the original bathroom I kept as close to original as I could. And so they still have the plaster walls, they still have the transoms and all the original doors and hardware, and even the medicine cabinet in the bathroom is the original. I took it out and, you know, stripped the paint, repainted it so that it looks nice, and it makes the bathroom look like a 1937 bathroom.
They're all so a lot of them are so close to the original. So I loved that for our home. I mean, the front's really the same.
Yeah.
So we love
yeah,
that.
I mean, other than the porch, which, you know, there's been some alterations, and then there's been additions in the back of our house, which you can't see, but, you know, I guess this is a tangible representation of that connection of always
Yeah,
talking
it's
about
like 80
to the
years of
history.
history.
Cool. I just think that continuity, the history, is one thing my dad drummed into us early. Was this love of history and how the houses were built. He was a project manager, like a quality control guy, and he knew all about it. He told us exactly how it had been built and why it had been built. So it's not just that they were building homes that were needed for working families, but it provided jobs, and not just for the people who were involved in the construction, but the whole supply chain. Is that there were people who didn't have work during the Depression that were able to provide for their families and had that dignity of work. They weren't sitting at home waiting for a handout. You know, they were able to build houses, and they built these houses with such attention to detail and such great quality work because they weren't in a hurry. And so that was something he taught us early on, and I've always appreciated that aspect of the history.
It definitely makes me appreciate the history and the value of the house more. And our house, except for it being painted, looks pretty much the same. There's an addition in the back, but I really like that it's kept its character since it was built, and hopefully we're doing it justice, and we'd make the families who lived here first proud.
Even people driving through, passing through a neighborhood like this, even before I lived here, it just made me slow down. And you notice that now. Okay, there's an exception there. We've seen the traffic on Chalkville Mountain, and they're not always slowing down. But when you start going through the neighborhood, how many places can you say make you slow down and just appreciate it?
But we've made renovations to the place, but we try to make all of our renovations around back, so that the front of it keeps that idea. And when I look at that, I see I'm proud to live in a house in a community where that historic house is preserved.